to True Print for Life. I am your host, Christina Vera.
And I'm your co-host, Maylin and
We are super excited to check back in with you and introduce to you an amazing co-host today that we have, Dr. Katherine Aponte. And Katherine, welcome to True Print for Life.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Very excited to be here today. You have no idea.
Well, we are excited to have you. So, Dr. Katherine, I like that. I like the way that sounds, Dr. Katherine. Can we call you Dr. Katherine?
You can. Call me whatever you please. Thomas is a nice name.
Nice, absolutely. Dr. Katherine, well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us like who you are, your background, where you come from, all of those important details.
All right. So my nationality is Dominican. I was actually born in the Dominican Republic. I was raised in Bronx, New York. I came to New York when I was like 5 years old. So very young. I have a couple of degrees, as you mentioned, doctor being one of them. My educational background, my bachelor's and my master's were in accounting. And then when I decided to do my doctorate degree, I did a doctorate in business administration, but I focused in leadership. So that was kind of like my specialty. I started my career at a federal agency managing the accounting and finance for the Department of Defense. So the agency is called DFAS. We basically pay our soldiers. In DFAS, I worked myself up the ladder. I was a supervisor, manager. I recently just accepted a position at a Fortune 500 company in the transportation business. I'm a director there now, director of revenue assurance. I love that job. Lots to do, lots to keep me busy. I love leading people. I just, wake up every morning excited to do my job. I love that I get to help others. It's kind of like one of my drivers, I kind of think, helping others and leading, coaching, mentoring, helping other people blossom. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, my background.
Wow. Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. That was exciting. I was actually, I've been with the company for 2 years, and I was only in a year and some change. And I remember the position came open, and I really wasn't thinking of applying or anything because I loved my job. I was a continuous improvement manager, basically looking at different business processes across the organization and looking for ways to lean them, make them more efficient, whether it was by eliminating waste or leveraging technology to make the process more efficient. So I loved that job. I literally went to, work with different teams. They told me there were problems. I worked to figure out the solution. Again, helping people, right? And I had a couple of calls. I remember 2 weeks period. You should apply for that. Just letting you know, I think it'd be a good fit. And I was like, what the heck? Let's go for it. I kind of still felt young in the agency, and I just wasn't sure. And I took a chance, and I killed the interview. I literally killed it.
I'm not surprised, number one.
Yeah.
But you brought a really good point. Many women versus men, when a position comes, we don't look at what we possess. We start looking at what I don't have yet. I'm only here for a year and a half. How could I? What would they say? So can you walk us through a little bit of the process that it took for you to go from I'm not sure to I'm going to go do this?
Courage. First thing, I was just like, what's the worst thing they're going to tell me? The worst thing they're going to tell me is that I need to improve in something. And what's the worst thing that can happen? Mm-hmm. I can make the decision to ignore it and not improve, or I can improve. And for the next round, I know I'll be even more ready. So it was just taking a step back and doing some analysis on what's the worst thing that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that wasn't even the worst thing. To me, that was nothing. To me, that was a good thing. Getting the feedback to prepare me for the future. Because I had shared with my boss, whom is a VP, I told her that one of my goals is to make it to the C-suites.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to be chief something one day. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it looks like. I'm going to be chief of something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to be up there in the board of directors. And I had shared with her, you know, that was something I wanted to do. And this company is very into professional development and retaining key talent. And she told me, she was like, in my first performance review, she told me, she was like, Katherine, people talk about you. And I was like, oh God. She was like, people are keeping an eye on you. And immediately, you know, you kind of get scared, like, oh, what do they say? What do they say? But in the tone that she said it, I knew it was good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it couldn't have been bad. So I was just like, okay, I'm just going to continue doing what I do, right? And essentially just boils down to helping people, you know, doing the analysis, doing the hard work in my mind to help others, run reports faster, you know, work their processes a little bit more efficient, reducing error rates. That's what I'm good at, kind of like problem solving. And it wasn't until I got hired that I realized how much of an asset they considered me. And just yesterday, at our staff meeting yesterday, it's been a couple of months now since I left that position. And my boss told us that she was still interviewing for someone to replace me. She said, I've looked at over 100 resumes. And she goes, I'm not exaggerating, trying to find a replacement. And I was like, well, I'm irreplaceable, that's why.
Tell him, girl.
And we all laughed. And, you know, I realized that whatever it is that I'm doing, it has a positive impact, not just on the direct teams that I work with across the company, but, you know, my superiors take a note of it. Absolutely. I presented to the board of directors of the company as a manager. And it didn't hit me until after, because people were telling me, like, they were like, there's no manager gets to present to the board. And I was like, oh God. And that was a great meeting. And so many chiefs, VPs, directors emailed my boss, or emailed me directly telling me I did a great job.
That's wonderful. And that kind of like makes me think about like work culture and how important that really is, because we talk about like how like toxic work environments, obviously you have very amazing leadership, it sounds like, within your corporation, where they really are looking at their employees, invested in like, how can we develop our employees? And some people don't have that, you know, that culture in their corporations, especially in such a highly dominated male industry. Like some of the industry experience you've mentioned, like the Department of Defense, and those are not areas where you see a whole lot of women representation in leadership. So would you speak to a little bit about just your journey, especially like in those male dominated industries, especially you mentioned wanting to be a chief or being in the C-suite, where we know like the average is under 6%. I mean, there's not women representation in Fortune 500 CEO positions. Even women of color are even less. So what are your thoughts around like, how can one combat that, and why do you feel like we still have those gaps in representation?
That's a great question, because I had that conversation at that performance review that 1 year with my boss. I told her, you know, this has always been a desire for me. Like ever since I was young, I just knew I wanted to be in the business world. I didn't know what I was to do. Like I remember being 14, looking at this list of like degrees. I don't know what they meant, But I was like, I'm going to go into international business because ignorant little me just had the word business. So I figured I'm going to be in the office somewhere, you know? And as you grow and you learn how much of a challenge that really is. Mm-hmm. And it's not like you can just knock on a door and it's going to open. Mm-hmm. No, it's a lot of work. It's a lot, it takes a lot of patience, you know, mostly in the environment where it's male dominated, because then you get to, you know, hear, oh, how did she get to that position? You know, what did she do?
Mm-hmm. And then you're beautiful, right?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm like, it's because I'm smart. I have brains, okay? Mm-hmm. You know, clearly you choose not to see that because of whatever your personal insecurities are. But, you know, I demonstrate that to the right people and they see that. Mm-hmm. So it's a difficult journey. The strange thing for me is I feel like transitioning from the public sector to the private sector has made that journey a little bit more easier, because I don't have to deal with a lot of the political nonsense that I used to deal with. I was with the government for like 10 years, Department of Defense, and, you know, generals, lieutenants, a director level, it's like you're nobody. What, a director? Okay, whatever, moving on, you know? Mm-hmm. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's the structure. I don't know. But transitioning to the private sector, it was a risk because of the job security. You know, the government, it is hard to fire people in the government. I was a manager there. I saw a lot of things that I was just like, wait, why can't I just let go of this person? What do you mean mm-hmm. I have to talk to the union? What do you mean? It's been a year. This lady falsified documents. Why is she still here? I don't have to deal with that. Like, here is, yes, it's performance related. It's also character related. Mm. We look at character a lot, you know. I feel like I've been blessed. I have had horrific leaders. I mean, oh my God, horrific. And then great leaders, right? Right now, I am blessed with everyone that I feel like I, you know, comes in my path. They're just exceptional leaders. And I think it's their character and their drive. They're not just there to do the job. They go above and beyond. Directors go above and beyond. VPs go above and beyond. My CFO goes above and beyond. We're all serving the customer, the shareholders, and we get rewarded for that.
That's amazing.
And that's, yeah, I mean, there's nothing that I feel like I have done that I haven't been rewarded in some sense. And it's not just, you know, money. I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about, you know, a simple email. You did a great job with this. Or you did excellent leading for facilitating that session. You know, it kind of helps boost up your self-esteem, you know, and yes, when I look at our C-suites in this company, there's like one female, and I wonder if she's just there to kind of check that box. But I think they do a good job in molding people to grow and get up there, because you really need to want to be there too. Because mm-hmm. sometimes, you know, I question people's desires. So I know I want to be there, and God's willing, one day I know I'll be there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you will.
Yeah. I don't know how, but I'm going to keep pushing through.
I always say, do your part and God will do his. And I have no doubt, seeing when you went through, like, to get your doctorate to where you are, absolutely is possible. So we're going to be excited to throw a party for you when you get there. And I want to go back a couple sentences when you shared this really important part. You said, I showed the right people, right? That you were smart, that you were capable. And that's important because in many jobs cultures, we're so busy, trying to convince everybody that we're worthy to be there, that we're capable. And some of those people have no like decision-making power, right?
Yep.
So can you guide us a little bit to that? Like, how do you decide who were the right people? And how did you show them that you were, we know you're worthy, but how do you show them that you were for that next position?
I think when you go in any job, people look at you and they automatically have this preconceived, notion of who you are and what you're going to bring to that table. It's really just meeting you. I can't control who I meet. I cannot control who my boss is going to assign me to work with, what team. People have so many personalities, right? I don't know if this person is going to like me or not, but you know what? I am just going to be my authentic self. And I am going to help them because my job is to listen to what their problem is and help them. And then by me doing that, I'm going to become of value to them. Once that person looks at me and they see that I brought value to them, their perception will change. Mm-hmm. Okay. I had this happen to me sometime this year. I worked with a lady. Her tenure was maybe like 35 years with the company. She was very used to doing things her way. And I've always done it like this. And this is how it's done. And I'm like, whoa. Okay, hold on. Just let's take a step back. Walk me through the process. And as she's walking me through the process, granted, I have other directors there who have to either approve something or are involved in the process somehow. And when she's walking me through the process, I spot something that she was doing that was, not necessarily of value. She was just doing it and nobody was paying attention to it. So I asked the room if we really needed them to needed her to do, this specific process. They were like, no. And all of a sudden, she was excited because she no longer had to do it. And she was like, oh, okay, well, maybe this isn't so bad after all. So, it's just becoming of value to a person. To her, there's a negative perception somehow, even though I've never met this lady. And at the end of the session, we were like BFFs. And every time we would jump on a call, she would be happy to see me and hear my name. So it's really you doing your part and, being your authentic self. I deal with roadblocks every day. It's just how you go about it. That's literally the key,
Yes. I love that you were able to influence her, right? Just by being yourself.
Yeah.
And that she saw what we all see.
Thank God, because now she's one of my staff.
Oh my God.
Yes. With the change, yes.
And that's she's important. One of my because, we talked about this. Somebody said this to me. Who said this? Somebody said this to me. I can't remember. But it's like how life goes 360, right? Like you deal with someone today and you have to be very careful how you deal with that person, how you treat that person, because in the future, that person could be a very important asset to you. And how you treated them will determine that relationship in the future.
Yes, this is a prime example. So when I got my promotion, she was one of the first ones to shoot me a message. And she was excited that I was, her director, and she was looking forward to the things that I was going to do.
Wonderful.
So complete change.
Now you have an ally, right? Because you need people that have been there for a while to kind of guide you as well. Yeah.
Because I think some people don't understand, like you can have like a healthy work relationship with someone. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go hang out with them. Like you're going to be best friends, but there has to be a level of like respect, open communication, so that at the end of the day, you can get the job done.
Absolutely.
And so I know one of the biggest things we've also learned about you, Katherine, is just your interest not only in running departments and finances for departments, but also investing. So I know you've been getting more and more into this craze of the Bitcoin. Can you share with us a little bit? Because I honestly have no idea what Bitcoin is, but I know I'm not going to learn all of that today. But just give us an idea of like what made you interested in investing and in why Bitcoin.
So, the first time that I think I learned about investment was in college. And I actually learned. The first time that I heard about, the stock market, for example, I was very young. I was maybe like 10, 12 years old, and it was negative. It was my uncle had invested in the stock market and he lost everything. So, Hispanics.
Right.
Oh, investment is bad. That's only for the rich people. So I grew up with this notion that investing was not, maybe not for me because I wasn't wealthy. I didn't come from a rich family. I couldn't just throw money in the stock market and take that risk. So it wasn't until my early 20s, I think I really started, thinking about what investment was. Actually, the first time I learned specifically about Bitcoin was in 2011, 2012. It was actually a conversation I had with my now ex-husband. And I remember he told me that Bitcoin was digital currency and that people were using it to buy things without actually having to send them cash money. And then he told me we should buy some. I think this is going to be the future. And I can vividly remember not caring. Just like, oh, okay, go get me a diaper now. It was in my early 20s. I was a new mom. And I simply just didn't care about the future. I had so much going on in my present that the type of currency that we were going to have in the future, it was non-existent to me. It wasn't my priority. I was just like, okay, whatever. But anyways, here we are today, 10 years later, and cryptocurrency has exploded. Everyone knows about crypto, especially Bitcoin. My now 10-year-old daughter knows about it. Even people that don't watch the news, they know about Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin's ATMs all over Miami. If I Google right now, I'm sure there's one down the block at a gas station, Bitcoin ATM. So even people walking down the streets know about it. So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is just digital currency. One of the many beauties of Bitcoin is that it's operated in a decentralized network, meaning that nobody controls your money but you. There's no bank. There's no government to rely on. There's no paper or coin that you can physically touch. Your balances are kept on the blockchain. And think of this as like a public ledger. So Bitcoin transactions can be processed by anyone. All you need is internet connection, and you can send money across the world in minutes. And the transaction fees are much, much lower than your traditional bank. I think everyone needs to own Bitcoin. There's no better day than today. You don't have to buy an entire Bitcoin. You can buy pieces of it, whatever you want. Many companies are accepting cryptocurrency as a direct payment method, like Amazon. I don't know if you've noticed when you purchase something on Amazon, you can use Bitcoin, eBay, Microsoft. I think that the reality is that digital currency is the future. There are many people that aren't convinced, and they don't accept this new financial system, we'll call it. I just think we all need to look at our environment. I look at where our life was 10 years ago when I first learned about Bitcoin, and I compare to now, where Fortune 500 companies are allowing us to use digital money to pay for goods and services, and where the president of a country made Bitcoin a legal tender. There are people now in El Salvador that will have access to bank services for the first time in their lives. I mean, I remember when I was at the Bitcoin conference a couple of months ago, they made a video and the president of El Salvador made the announcement. The room went crazy. I mean, the excitement that everyone felt was insane. And I remember when I left, I mean, I was hyped. I was like, Bitcoin is a legal tender in El Salvador. Oh, this is the truth. This is the future. And I just remember calling one of my friends right away and telling them it was insane. You saw it in Twitter right away. And I remember going through my Instagram later that evening, and it was all over IG already. And I was excited. You know, I don't post a lot on IG, but I posted some pictures real quick because I felt like I was part of history. You know, that was like it's a historic moment when they're making such an announcement. It's such a big deal. And I was excited that I went to that conference. I went by myself. I was just walking, you know, from topic to topic, you know, seeing what was out there, met some really great people, had conversations with people I never would have just talked to outside of the conference. You know, people were sharing their perspectives. You saw the Bitcoin extremists just talk about it's Bitcoin, everything else ignore. And I'm like, well, I like to have a diversified portfolio. So
yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But I love that you put yourself out there, because a lot of times I know people are like, oh, I don't want to go by myself, or like they won't go to events or conferences or whatever because they don't want to go by themselves. But to your point, like sometimes you just have to put yourself out there, because if you go with someone else, oftentimes you won't really push yourself to like network and meet with other people. So the fact that you were brave enough, like you said, courage earlier, just to go to the conference, see what it was about, network with other people. Not only did you learn stuff, but you also were able to meet other people that you typically probably wouldn't have met.
Right. It was great. It was a great experience. Very happy I went. I just feel very blessed to have been given, you know, the opportunities that life has given me by whatever methods they have come.
That's amazing. Well, before we wrap up, we definitely want to get what would you say is your advice you would give to your younger self now that everything you've learned, and you just kind of alluded a little bit about all the great opportunities? What advice would you give to young Katherine?
I think, to me, just kind of looking back at my life, especially from like the financial perspective, investment perspective, I would say be more financially disciplined. I think that throughout the years, I have become even more financially disciplined. But I feel like now, today, I think more deeply about where I'm spending my money. Is it for necessities? Is it for luxury? Is it for a pleasure, you know, that perhaps can wait? In my 20s, I think I was a little bit more reckless with my income. And because I was reckless, I realized that I missed critical windows of opportunities in the market. Granted, I know, you know, my family was not as financially savvy as they are now. I didn't grow up in a household where we talked about investments and the discipline needed to be an investor. So perhaps that impacts how long it took for me to turn that light bulb on. I'm not sure. I don't know. All I know is that becoming financially disciplined is a journey, but one that I'm very happy I went through. And I make it a point to talk to my kids about investing, and because I don't want them to grow with the mentality that I grew up with. Don't do it. It's scary. It's risky. I think with proper risk tolerance set in place, I think anything is possible. And I'm very excited for the future. I'm very excited.
I'm so excited. I feel like we're going to have to do another episode on this, like a part 2, because I have questions about Bitcoin still. And I also have questions about the discipline that you keep speaking about. So just stay tuned to see Dr. Katherine again.
We'll love to.
Excellent, excellent. Well, as we close, we want to say thank you so much. You are in Florida, and we're excited that we had the opportunity to connect with you via the technical world. And as we close, we always have a phrase. I know you know the phrase. we usually count, but we're going to tell you the phrase, and then you'll be ready. So it's bigger than you. That's the
bigger
phrase.
Than you.
Yes. So at the count of 3, we're going to say it together.
Got it.
Ready?
It's bigger than you.